Good morning, everyone. I'm Bob Barrett, and I've been a member here at Valley for 40 years and an environmentalist all my life. Trained as a lawyer, I began practice in San Francisco litigating business cases. In 1977, I made the life-altering decision to devote the rest of my career to environmental protection, hoping it would be more fulfilling. And over the decades, I've had a sense of general optimism about humanity's continued progress. However, climate change, environmental degradation, loss of biodiversity, and increasing chaos have become urgent concerns. Scientists and informed policymakers are very clear. Unless we transition more quickly from fossil fuels to renewable energy and make other beneficial environmental choices, the future will be bleak. While personal lifestyle changes will be helpful, their effects may be too small and too late to matter. That's why I want to highlight the potential for green investing to open a promising path in the transition to a stabler future. To illustrate why, imagine a very simple hypothetical. A person with an annual income of $100,000 and savings of $1 million. Lifestyle changes may impact some fraction of the $100,000 amount, but investment changes can impact the far larger amount. I have 2 children and 5 grandchildren. I shudder to imagine the scenarios that they might face. Today, I'm going to speak on their behalf and on behalf of your children and grandchildren and all who might follow us. I'm inviting all of us to seek out every opportunity to protect God's creation and the natural systems on which our and their lives will depend by considering our investments. First, a little about me. I've had a long-time predisposition toward the environment. In part, this is from my Christian Science upbringing. I was allowed to think in broad, unconventional ways. For example, we prayed the King James Version of the Lord's Prayer, but also prayed a version by Mary Baker Eddy, the religion's founder, that began, "Our Father, Mother God, all harmonious." I was encouraged to think of creation in holistic and complete terms with infinite mystery, that God is love. As was later evident in my career, which shifted from the adversarial process to more mediation, collaborative ones, our world has begun to gravitate toward solutions that are more stable, wiser, fairer, and maybe even more efficient. The clearest opportunity for me to see this promising path forward came during my 8 years as the program officer at the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, responsible for its grants in the environment and conflict resolution. Most of my career afterward was devoted to collaborative problem solving. For example, I worked with stakeholders to protect coho salmon habitat, with agencies like the US EPA to draft regulations informed by stakeholder input, and with the U.S. Geological Survey to make better use of scientific information in decision-making. I saw that despite their complexity, environmental issues could be resolved or managed and progress made. While committing to recycling, composting, putting solar panels on our roof, and buying an electric vehicle, to be more effective, in 2007, my wife and I started a green investment club. While learning a lot and having some success, we found that buying stocks just before the 2008 financial crisis was risky. The right idea, but bad timing. Recent research about returns in portfolios with and without fossil fuels show that the best overall returns come from those without risky fossil fuel holdings. This is a complicated topic, though, so I'm suggesting learning and paying careful attention in this area. In 2020, I co-founded and co-chaired the Earth Care team here at Valley with a dozen others. We educate and encourage everyone to promote creation care by joining others, including in green investing. To see details, check out our website. There is certainly great potential in green investing. Let me share 3 sources of information among many others that I hope you'll find useful. The slides introduce you to the organizations, but there are many more details than I can cover in the time we have. So, copies are available in the back as handouts, and I would welcome conversations about this after church and in the coming days with any of you who are interested. The first resource is the 2017 book, Donut Economics by Kate Rayworth. Here's a screenshot of the basic ideas. She invites readers to reframe economics as embedded in the environment with 2 fundamental goals: providing basic support to all people in meeting their basic needs without outstripping the capacity of the planet to sustainably support life. Within these 2 boundaries is the ring, the green donut, in which we should all aspire to live. Second is a podcast from NPR's financial program Marketplace called How We Survive, hosted by Amy Scott. In 30-minute segments, the podcast discusses many green financial topics, such as how, for example, churches began taking environmental risks into account in managing their own financial portfolios. And third, I'd like to suggest a nonprofit organization in Berkeley, As You Sow, which provides information to shareholders wanting to assess how they can invest in alignment with their values. You can get advice there, for example, on many topics, including fossil-free investments, and including access to the research on returns from portfolios both with and without fossil fuels that I mentioned before. Of course, investing is complicated, and with many factors determining returns. You should consult your own advisors and do your own due diligence. Hopefully, you'll find these sources helpful starting points. I urge us all to put high priority on environmental implications, not only with what we buy, but how carefully we live, and also how we invest for the future, for yours, for your children's, for your grandchildren's, and for theirs as well.